welcome everyone to the Winning Together podcast. This is Shay, the mountain lion Aslet, and I have with me, well, you all know who he is, Ryan, I keep it real, the hyena Hymas.
Woo!
Welcome, bruh.
How's it going?
So good.
Good.
So good.
Good.
We're here specifically today to talk about chilling out your recovery, putting your bad behaviors or your unhealthy ways on ice. We're talking about taking a chill pill or a chill plunge or really like freezing your tail off so that you can feel alive in your life or grow or be who you want to become. We're talking about cold work, polar plunging, getting in the ice, like what are some other words? Cold dipping, like that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. Growth from desperation. I love you, man. Like a lot of, it's funny doing
So here's the whole phrase, everyone. I love you, all of you, all the way, no matter what, no judgment.
Yep. No judgment. And I love that we're doing this podcast together because you've been super inspirational in my journey over the last,
we've created some magic over the last year.
Yeah, like just changed my life, man. Changed my life, dude. And I thank you. I thank you, man.
You are so welcome.
Yeah.
So let me let's put this into an outline or framework for you. So about a year ago, Ryan, he wanted to be alive in his life, and some things were calling to him. So I'm the guy he saw around work who wasn't wearing shoes in the snow, who would like say, I see you, and was doing like some cold work, which means I was getting in rivers that are freezing cold or a bathtub full of ice because there was something there for me. And I just shared it with him. And when I shared it with him, he had that like visceral reaction, like, yes, like, like, okay, that's what weirdos, like all that stuff that comes up. But what he did want to do is like, hey, I want to like change. I want to start running and like being more physically like in my body. And I was like, I got you. Like, we'll be accountable every day. We'll just share our workouts, no judgment. And as we like practiced that, and we were it was rare we would ever miss. And whenever we did, like, there was no like, I'm sorry, or I didn't, like, it was like, hey, back on it. And over like the first 3 months of last year, you did things like you never thought you'd ever see. Like, you were going on walks regularly. You started swimming like crazy. You were like walking around with weights. You were standing outside at night, like kind of grounding and like connecting with something that you had this idea, but you were actually living it now. Like it was you. And the first few months, that really was powerful.
Man, I'm 42. I'm super grateful for where I'm at 42. I was explaining some of this stuff to a high school buddy. I didn't understand
some stuff like doing the cold work
and even exercising and eating fruit occasionally. Like, I didn't understand that this stuff is all tied into, it was never, I was never aware of the fact that like your spirituality is tied in to your physical well-being. It's all tied in.
Totally.
And he was like, yeah, man, we learned about that in grade school. You don't remember them talking about, I was like, I don't remember that. Like, I didn't learn any of this stuff, and so I really feel like I started, which I love. Some of my high school buddies, they, no judgment against them, I love them, but they look kind of tired and like they've already done all this. And I feel like I'm just getting started, I feel fresh, like a kid.
You look fresh.
I feel better than I ever felt in my 20s. I mean, my 20s were a bloated, tired, super depressed without knowing that there was any answers for that depression, drug addicted, alcohol induced.
It's like you skipped past the whole rock star part of the lifestyle and just got like the end result of the lifestyle.
Totally. Yeah, and I feel like I've, like, my 40s.
Counting Crows, like with overweight and like no one likes their music anymore, and that's how you felt.
Yeah, that is how I felt. I feel now, like I got these little babies running around, and I had to do something. To even keep up with them, and I feel like my 40s, I have more energy, I have more hope, I have I'm 7.5, just past 7.5 years in sobriety. And I finally, a lot of those first few years, it was just hanging on, and now I feel like I have purpose. I feel like I have peace. Like I have peace that I've never known before. You know, and I don't know if some of that just happens with getting older and going into the next stages in your life, you know. But I'm super interested in. I love this stage where I'm at now, and I'm super interested for my 50s and 60s. Like,
so the trick is though is that you were willing to feel the feeling before it was happening in your life. Like I think that's where like you were willing to like create the emotion and the space for it before it happened, believing and trusting like, hey, if I do these little things, something's like gonna happen. I see Shay, he's doing this, and that's like there's something about him like that's I want. And when you're like willing to like, okay, so how do you do it, Shay? Well, let's start here. You're like, okay, doing it. Hey, what about this cold war thing? I don't know about it, but let's go do it.
Yeah, and it's so weird. I mean, almost a year and a half ago, I came and started working at I Am Recovery, and
who sponsored this podcast? Thank you, I Am Recovery.
And everything, it's all tied in. You were here. Jared was very big on, I have a lot of like expectations, that I place on myself. But Jared, being the owner here and being my boss, was really big on, I love him because he's so calm. He calms me down. I'm prone to be a live wire shaking around. And he was very big on, let's calm down. Like, let's do incremental change. That's what we're going to work on is incremental change. And then that tied right into you. Like, okay, we're going to start by running a mile a night. That's all. We're not doing any marathons. We're not doing anything crazy, because the only change that I've seen that I've been able to implement into my life has been change that I'm willing to do on the daily. So that running 1 mile a night, doing a little bit of exercise every single night, incrementally, man, then we looked back over the last year, and here we are, we just did a tiny little bit of change every single day, and my life today looks completely different than it did a year ago, and so many times in my life, though, I would never make those changes because, I don't know, I wasn't willing to do that daily work. And it really is a daily work for me to stay out of addiction, to stay depression.
Like, why wouldn't you allow that to be? And one of the things I see is there's a lot of time you spent being outcome driven in your life. And what we mean by outcome is it's all results. And if the results aren't there, then I am not whatever. And a lot of like, even though you were doing the process, I didn't feel like there was a lot of either love or like it become necessary. Like when you talk about like changing out of desperation, there's some time or some point where you gotta be like, it must happen. I have to have this. It is necessary. Like I am desperate to feel different or experience different. That creates that like impetus or that commitment to like go and do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So what was your resistance to doing more things on the daily?
I mean, it's always fear. Like it's always, I have a real tendency to think that I'm not capable.
Which I pick up so little from you today. Man, if you go back 2 years on you, it was the dominant, I think, kind of emotion.
Yeah, which, I still go there. I have to do those daily things that remind me that I'm enough. Like that was a big thing this year, I think, as well, to realize like I am enough. Everything that I am is enough. I don't need to, it's okay. I'm okay to be down sometimes too. That's a part of me that I recognize. And the problem is I would get stuck in a cycle of depression, anxiety, I'm a piece of shit, which leads into depression and anxiety. I'm a piece of shit. The drugs got taken out of the equation, which a lot of things started to really get better without that.
Absolutely.
The destruction started to go away. But then all of a sudden, I found myself with a new set of issues. I wouldn't even say problems because they've...
New levels bring new devils.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Like, so all of a sudden I'm sober and I've got to figure out life. Like, life is still happening, still getting flat tires, and I still have this paralyzing depression. And, for me, like I did what was told to me, which was super beneficial for me. I think, the 12 steps is what I did when I got clean, and I think they saved my life. And I just did what my sponsor told me to do, went to meetings, smoked cigarettes, and stayed sober. But then, at about year 5, I found myself I didn't add anything else in to that equation. I was just doing what I was told to do. I wasn't making it personal for me. I wasn't trying to fill my cup. I was just maintaining. And at year 5, again, I found myself suicidal.
You thought by living you'd feel alive in your life, but it wasn't happening.
I just thought by staying clean, if I just stay clean, I'll be happy. That's what I thought. And so I spend a lot of energy just staying clean. That's what I put my energy towards, just staying clean. And
relationship wasn't where you wanted to be. Relationship with kids wasn't where you wanted to be. Like spirituality wasn't like a lot of things weren't there where they wanted to be, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And some days there is still that, I just stay clean some days. But now I feel like, I spend a lot of energy living. Like,
yeah, you do.
I'm not spending as much energy anymore in not dying. I'm spending a lot of energy in enjoying my life. Everything kind of, it started, at about 5 years clean. And, I was in a job where I didn't know if it didn't feel very secure, which filled me with fear. And that's really where it started, I think, was I almost cracked and thought, I cannot have my happiness dependent on a job, on whether or not I lose my job today or have a job tomorrow. Like, I've got to get centered one way or the other. And that's where I made a change. I decided, I don't want to live like this anymore anyway, but I came to I Am Recovery. And that's when things really started to blow up with doing the accountability piece was so huge with you.
Huge.
Trying to do.
For both of us.
Totally. Changed everything.
Yep.
That really started. I used to put down everything that seemed, I don't know, I would make fun of stuff, like make fun of people that go to the gym.
Healthy stuff.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Stuff that I don't want to do.
Stuff that healthy, happy people do.
So much easier just to make fun of it so that I don't have to think about doing it, because I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to exercise. I don't want to eat healthy. I don't want to meditate. All this stuff, I would call it hippie shit. And
what did you want to do?
And I don't want to do it. I had no idea.
Gotcha.
I had no idea. I wanted to do whatever was easy.
Way to keep
That's
it real.
what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to eat what tastes good.
Mm-hmm.
I want to sit here on a couch.
The money to just be there.
And play my guitar. And that was all I wanted to do. I didn't want to do anything hard. And so because I didn't want to do anything hard, there was no growth for a decade, there just wasn't a lot of growth because there was nothing pushing back in order to grow. So starting that running, starting to eating a little bit healthier, I changed my whole belief system about 2 years ago, from the religion of my youth, and really made it personal, and also became okay with the fact that I don't have to know everything. I don't have to define like that. That was a big piece for me, was being okay in the not knowing, being okay. Not being in control, which is what I'd done before. But I said, this is who's in control. This is the God that I believe in, and he has control. I'm just a pawn in this thing. Now I don't know, I couldn't tell you exactly what my belief system is, only that I'm okay in the not knowing, and I'm okay in being in this present moment right now, because, and that's what the polar plunge, the running, and everything else is kind of led me to realize is one of the most important pieces of my recovery, of my life, of my happiness, is being here now. Like, being here now is everything, because my depression lives in the past. My anxiety lives in the future. But in the moment, right now I'm just sitting here talking to a friend. Like, the moment is usually pretty great. I can always usually handle where I'm at right now. It's when I start tripping out about either the past or the future that I start to become paralyzed with fear. And so, The polar plunge, it isn't, I talk a lot about the polar plunge, but the polar plunge isn't anything maybe any more different than me playing catch with my 4-year-old, Like I found when I'm throwing that ball to my son and he's throwing it back to me, I am in the now. Like I'm watching the ball come towards my hand and I'm catching it. And that is the polar plunge to me, is when I'm in the plunge and when you hit that water, we can talk about like the benefits of why I do the plunge, but it isn't just the plunge. It is the fact the plunge brings me into the now. I'm trying to bring that now into every other aspect of my life, whether it's playing catch with my son, whether it's having a conversation with my wife, whether it's, being present with my daughters and watching them dance, like whatever I'm trying to do, if I can be here now, my level of happiness is I'm good. I'm okay.
Boom.
Yeah, I'm good and I'm okay in the now.
So the abundance that you now feel is what a curious derivative of doing this little practice now. And so now it's not so little. So let's put a little more arc to it. So right around the time COVID was getting March, April, right? I had been letting you know, we're doing this on Sundays. We're going to go jump at the river and whatnot. And you're like, okay, I'm in. So you started coming. So it seemed like there was a few big things that stood out to you along the way. One was the polar plunge. Whenever you decide to get in the cold water, it'll happen exactly when it's supposed to happen. Not before, not after. If you don't come or you wait, it'll happen right when it's supposed to happen. Number 2, no judgment. There's we're not trying to stay longer. You're just there to get what you get and feel what you feel and be present, right?
Yep.
3, bring something you can leave in the water and you can create space for you, because the water can always take it. We can't hold, if you're not bearing your burdens well, leave them in the water. Leave them to something that's bigger than you. And as you come out, that creates space for this sense of aliveness you have coming out more than compensates for the pain or the discomfort or the coldness or the hours of I cannot get my temperature up afterwards. Wow.
Yep. The living with intention and going in the water with intention. So what I thought was going to happen was this. I thought that we were going to go and we would have this shared terrible experience like we used to in scout camp, and we would all laugh. It would be so horrible. We would all laugh, and that would be the shared experience that would be fun. But what I found was, you change sort of the narrative. We're going in with intention of working on, of doing work, of growing. And so, man, it was the same way. There's some similarities to, the first time I had a drink of alcohol, right? When I was younger, and me and my friend split a bottle of vodka, and he started throwing up all over the place, and I had a feeling of wholeness. I feel
coming home.
Yeah,
it's coming home.
I feel this depression, this anxiety, whatever it was it feels like it's been with me since I was a little kid, and I felt whole. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm going to do this forever because I feel whole. And then it quit working for me, and then I was left with, I did that for 16 years with alcohol and chemicals, and they quit working. And so then I'm left naked, in this world without a tool, without a tool to fix me. I felt it the same way.
That's interesting. I've never heard you share that. That's really interesting.
And when I went in that water for the first time, it connected to me the same way that alcohol did. I felt, it just slapped me. It slapped me right into the now. And the depression, that I'd had, and the anxiety driving up that canyon to go into the water, I felt relief. That's it. Right? The same thing with the alcohol, the same thing with the water. I felt relief. And I'm desperate. Even a year and a half ago, I'm desperate for relief. I know the alcohol doesn't work. I don't even, alcohol's been removed. Drugs have been removed because I know that they don't work. I came to that whole process 7.5 years ago.
Yep.
It's not an option for me. I can never make it work. I tried for 16 years to make that work, and it will never work for me. And I mourned that, for a while, 7.5 years ago when I got clean and
You have to grieve it.
Totally.
Because there's part of it you really loved.
It really served me for a long time, and then it didn't serve me. And so I needed to find some other tools that would serve me the same way that it had at the beginning of it. And I found that in the cold water. It was, we went in with intention. There's so many things I love about, we called it the cold dip back in the summer, and then it changed to the polar plunge. And there's the going in the water, the being slapped into the now, and also, the people that come up there and that I feel like I'm forever bonded with.
So you have this gift to connect is rare. And so I want to put you up for that, because you also, like, by being intentional, somehow you decided like you were going to earn your gifts and you were going to like put them to work. And you, like, I think all the bandwidth you were using to like just not do, you are now putting to do. And the way you started connecting, inviting and sharing and like letting people know like, hey, come do this with me. Like I can see myself. This is a tool. Like I'm having these experiences. You may or may not, but come and like do it. And through the summer, you were able to bring like aliveness to a lot of people who were looking for something the same. And maybe they were at a level where they're like, oh, I don't really need that. But then they found something there that was bigger or like different or could help them like grow. And then as the water goes from 50 degrees to mid 40s to 40, and now you're in the like 30s, chopping ice, breaking it up, sitting in there, you still have been able to bring your ability to create a tribe to this. And so I want you to put up anybody you want to put up to, like, and thank and acknowledge, like, because we don't do this alone. Like, we went together. So who are some people you want to notice and acknowledge who've been like this part of this like tribe with you?
Yeah, I mean, and there is something so special about, I'm like in the admissions marketing world, and it seems like sometimes you go to events and people want something from you or something, and this event, no one wants anything from you but to support you. It is just love and support.
Non-judgment.
And no judgment.
Courage.
Yeah.
Bravery.
Yeah. And,
heart.
And everybody's bringing in their different gifts, from Allie Anderson, she used to come and do a meditation with us up on the mountain. That was her gift that she brought. We've had people come in that do breath work. Jason Sykes comes in and does saging and just bring, I mean, if I'm going to drop names like Jason Sykes, JC Price, Ricky Waters, Jake, Jacob Boren, Jay Gould, Sean, there's so many people, Miggy, all these, Lauren, I'm going to feel bad.
And if your name doesn't get mentioned, it doesn't mean anything. I'm putting him on the spot because next week we're having an event here in Arena Talks where we're going to do some more cold work. Like, we're going to have somebody come and speak. Ryan's going to speak, and we're going to have like a cold pool there. So if your name doesn't get mentioned, it doesn't mean anything, okay? Because we want to make sure like the message gets out there. Yeah,
there's so many just good people. I've connected with, there's this guy in California, Brock Cannon, who does a podcast, and I started connecting with him on what he's doing with some of the cold work out in California. That's all it is. There's this connection piece with all these people that come, and we are just connected now. We found something that we can have this shared experience growing together, because nobody shows up on a Sunday morning at 10 a.m. thinking about going in to this ice water if they're not somebody that wants to grow. That's almost harder than going in the water, is showing up to this thing. And whether you go in the water or not is almost inconsequential. There's work to be done in the water, but it's also showing up together and supporting each other. Like, we have a support system. Like, I have people now, but I had to create that because
it's huge.
Because as much as like my work sort of demands that I be an extrovert, I'm an introvert, and I'm super comfortable being alone in a room by myself. For years, I could do that and be okay. But I realized that there's not a lot of growth, sitting in a room by myself. And it was hard for me. I remember
feeling alone is so hard on your health. It's so hard on your spirit and your emotions.
Yeah, I need to hear you have value. I need to hear what you think about this existence. And there's a lot of growth for me to learn you have so much to offer. Everybody that's outside of this room right now, I could walk out this door right now and every one of those people have value, and I need their value. And I want to share with them. It's like this human connection thing that we're doing on this planet. I don't have any idea what happens after this life. Belief system isn't there. And to think that this is what happens and this is where you go and this is where we are for eternity, I have no idea. And so I'm in this moment, that's been super good for me to not know.
Had you not been doing the cold work, you wouldn't have the courage to go here with your spirituality. I can promise you that.
Totally. Oh, because it was scary.
Totally.
It's super scary for me to not have the belief system that I was raised on. But I don't know is the short answer now. And I'm okay not knowing. And I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this experience and this existence.
All the way.
And be present. I'm not knowing what happens after this existence has really honed me in when my kids are talking, like this might be it, like that I get. And that's true with anything. Like they, like I was talking to you earlier, my 4-year-old with his heart problems and stuff, as horrible as that is, like he could be gone.
All we have is today. That's it.
Anybody could go out. Anybody can get taken away off this planet any second without knowing. And man, if I'm not careful, I'll sit and think about that for the next 10 years. I'll spend the next 10 years thinking about how I'm going to live when you die or I die or my kids die or my wife dies or my parents die. And I'll just sit and never have enjoyed those 10 years. Or I can be super present and enjoy what I have right now. And, having that change in my belief system is really like when my kids dance, I watch. Like I am here watching you.
How's that been for your relationship with your wife? That degree of presence that you're able to bring that you haven't before. How's that affected your relationship?
I mean, we were close to a divorce a few years ago, and to decide to start walking the path together, to be present together, and also to be doing our own individual growth. Like that's a decision she made. Actually, I didn't make that decision. She decided that she was going to start growing with or without me. And she started that growth and she added a wonderfulness to her existence, some real value that wasn't dependent on me. Mm-hmm. And so then I started my own individual growth as well. And thankfully, we've decided we're going to take your individual growth and my individual growth, and we're going to grow together down this path together. And it's never been...
There's very few things that are better than that.
Yeah, we're connected now. We have a level of trust, navigating with these, how do you live with 3 little kids that are insane? They're just finding themselves right now, their little voices and their creativity, and with that creativity comes a lot of destruction of
chaos.
It's total chaos,
totally.
Right? So how do you walk through that chaos without, it's super easy to be like...
And shepherd yourself and shepherd them.
Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what this life is. It's like that with my kids. It's like that with work sometimes. It's like that in on this planet is, cars are breaking down left and right. Like, how do you stay connected and centered and okay in the chaos,
It's a practice. You go get in the cold water.
Totally.
And you sit there until you're done. Do you think the connection piece there is so profound for you? Because when you're in the cold water, if you're willing to sit and breathe, you connect to you in a way that is very unique to this tool. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's why the connection feels so profound or strong with people that are there or the people that do it, is because your ability to connect with you now has become 10 times more than it was before?
It is I don't view the water anymore as a cold experience. Like people I notice, on Facebook and stuff, they're always like, is it cold? Is it super cold? Is it, how cold is it? Is it what's the degrees? Like, I don't associate it with cold anymore. I associate it with consciousness change. Like wow. It's like which is why I like my favorite is cutting the hole in the ice and walking through. I consider it walking through a door into a clearer consciousness.
For being a creature of comfort, that's a big deal for you.
Totally.
Wow.
Totally. And that's really the only way I can do it. Like if I think to myself, I'm about to go get in a cold hole in the ice, like I don't even know that I'm capable of doing that. The only way I'm capable of doing it is like I'm about to change my consciousness and change my perspective, because when you hit that water, I mean, all that stuff like stimulus checks and like this car's broken, all the stuff that is going on in my head and how many people are coming into treatment and do we have the beds and all that, everything else, like perspective, man. Like it's just boom, right here. I am here now trying, and all you can do is breathe, which is all I need to be doing sometimes. Yep. Sometimes I need to shut everything else that's going on down, and I just need to be here now and breathe. When I walk through that door, I'm walking through a door, I'm changing my consciousness, all of a sudden my priorities are in line, and all I can see is all these people around me, and all I can see is that I love them. You know, it's just love. Like that's what I love up there. There's not a lot of ego going around. You know, it's not thinking about, well, who brought the hot chocolate? Do you want credit for bringing the hot chocolate?
Who's going to stay the longest? Who's got a nice body?
Exactly.
Like, doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Nobody cares.
All we are is a bunch of humans connecting and loving each other for who we are, shortcomings and all. You are enough.
Period.
I see all these people there, whether you go in the water or not, you are enough. You already are. You don't have to. I feel like I spend a lot of time like searching. I'm just out. I'm searching. I got to find myself. I've got to figure out. I've got to grow. I got to figure this. I have it all. It's all inside
Amen.
of me already. I am enough right here, right now. I'm enough. And so is everybody else that's up there. And all I can do is look at them with a childlike innocence of, you know, our jobs don't matter. Our financial positions in life don't matter. We are just humans connected in love. It's simple, you know, which is, again, with all this chaos.
Simple and highly effective.
I need to simplify my priorities. I need to stay as calm as I can, because I get frazzled. I start thinking real quickly if I don't keep, and that's why I do it weekly.
So I was going to say, that's one of the things that you've brought up is that Sundays you used to just dread, and all your Sunday got eaten up by what might happen the next week.
Totally.
And so you weren't there with your family. You weren't like, your health wasn't good. And now your Sunday is this, you've created it this way that you generate so much essence of Ryan to like be him and give. It's the day that you like supercharge now.
Yep. It's crazy that, Sundays was the day that I would wake up thinking about Monday, and Monday was never bad. Monday always came, and I take care of Monday. I'm pretty good at taking care of Monday, actually. The thought, I would spend all day Sunday just thinking about Monday and what was going to come, and if I was going to be able to be capable of handling it, and just a ton of fear. And so one day out of 7 days,
you practice so much lack too. Like you're always never enough. Like you were only looking at what wasn't.
Totally.
And you got more of that.
Totally. And exactly, you're exactly right. Now Sunday became the day to recharge, to be in the now. My Sundays became a sacred day for me, which then Mondays became another practice of being in the now. You know, I heard at the last arena, Tyson was speaking about the same thing, about how it isn't, I'm not just trying to be in the now, in the plunge. I'm trying to live in the now as much as possible. Like on Monday, I come to work, I'm in the now, I take care of the things that need to be taken care of, and I try to keep as much fear out of operating as I can. Tuesdays I do, and my weeks have been better, but there is something about keeping this routine of Sunday I'm going to do this, because man, I mean, you saw with the running, like if we miss 2 days, that third day, man, my feet are heavy, to get going. Like
the punk voice is going crazy.
Totally.
Like, no, you got whatever.
Like I have to do, it's all routine. It's all practice.
You can never be strong. You can only be stronger. And it's a practice.
It's daily.
It doesn't need to look like anything, but
Yeah.
you do need to show up and do it.
The only change that I'm capable of sustaining is change that I'm willing to do on the daily. Can I eat a little bit healthier? Can I do some exercise, some incremental exercise, which I try to do every day still, once a week doing the polar plunge? What data am I sticking into my head? I spent a couple years only listening to suicidal music, from some of my favorite musicians, and I wonder why I'm so depressed because I'm only putting that in. And I still love sad music. I still write. For me, that it's therapeutic in writing sad music, and that's a part of me, that I'm okay with now, embracing the sadness too that is there.
But to let go of the practice of generating those emotions and like identifying with them, like
totally,
that's part of me, but that's not who you are.
100%. That's exactly the key. It's okay for me to be sad.
Feel the feelings,
but
just don't become the emotion.
But I am not sad.
Yeah.
That's just a piece of me. And it's okay to have that be a piece of me. The depression is a piece of me. The anxiety is because I really quickly I'll be depressed, and then I will tell myself, you are depressed, and this is you, and you will live this way, and then you're also a piece of shit. Throw that in there.
Yep.
Which leads to more depression, instead of just saying, okay, like I started, with like the suicidal stuff, I started noticing when it would come on, if I could look at it objectively and say, even just saying, my brain is suicidal right this second, instead of I am suicidal and I live in this this thought of dying. If I could just look at it objectively.
For anybody listening, this is a super effective tactic. If you can just say, the Shay is suicidal today, and just talk in the third person, you get around those neural pathways. They're like, I am this, and generating the chemistry, goes, what you're pointing out is so effective.
Yeah. Yeah, it enables me to look at it a little bit more objectively. And then I'm able to look at it objectively as well and say, what do you got in the tool bag? What have you done in the past? And now I know a few things. Like I know, first rule, I get out of my bed. That bed is not my friend when depression and anxiety and suicidal ideation come. I can either feed it and just, I want to cover my head in the covers and just feed. And it used to take me a week to get out of that, But now, the first rule, I get out. I got to do a head change, shower. If I shower and even do some of that cold work in the shower.
Totally effective.
Brain change.
Mm-hmm.
I can change my brain that quickly. If I can go sit on the mountain, do a little bit of mindfulness, a little bit of meditation, and change some of my perspective, that helps. Doing some physical exercise, putting in some healthy stuff. For me, it's been super important, this creativity stuff, doing, music has been a part of me since I was a little kid, and being able to do something creative, it used to be everything for me back in, that's the only thing I thought was important was writing songs and everything. And now that's not the case, but it's a part of it. It's a piece of my puzzle that I really enjoy.
It's also how you shine down the shame. If you are not honoring your creativity, shame starts coming in. It becomes maladaptive. So you have to find some way to express it. So for you to honor that, one of the things I want to just circle back, I don't want to forget, the attitude of abundance that you have generated from doing the cold work over a year is crazy. You wouldn't ever thought, I'm going in here so I can be abundant. No, you're just going to freeze. But the way that you I'm present to what I am, I'm enough, job's great. Oh, look at this. I'm able to get into a house. Oh, look at this. My family's got health issues. We'll figure it out. Oh, hey, you know what? I am who I am. I'm going to give it to you. Oh, it's Monday. I'm bringing it. The amount of abundance that you're expressing. Oh, I'm a creative person. I got to honor that. Oh, my wife, I love her. I'll be there for her. My girls are dancing. Boom, let's go. Your capacity to give powerfully, your talents and gifts to your world has just become so abundant. And the depression, thank God for the depression, because that created the desperation to do different.
Totally.
thank heaven, like thank God, thank the mountain, thank the cold water, whatever it is that you have like weaknesses, because that's how you develop your talents.
100%. Yeah, I'm super. I hated when I used to hear people say that. I'm thankful for my addiction. I'm thankful for. To me, these things were just problems that created havoc, and but I'm super grateful. I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, I love the depression, exactly like you're saying, because it gives me something to grow against, and I love the work. Like that's something that's super. That's changed over this year. I love the work. Like the work is the funnest part. Like the man, when you're running and you're right at that point of like exhaustion, and they're like, I love that space right in there, because that's where the growth is. When you're trying to push past that like physical limitation and that pain, and the same thing in the water.
And is it physical or is it mental? Like that's where you get to discover that. Like, no, like my body's not saying no. Like it's only in my head.
Totally.
Like go.
Yep.
Go.
Yep.
And that's where the joy is, by the way. Anybody listening, if you want to do joy, like that's where it is.
Yeah. I mean, I really think that I thought as a younger adult that life happened and you were just, I didn't really think that you had a say. Like, this is what happened. Like, maybe someone would notice you and give you a good job, and maybe you would make a lot of money.
Do good things, and good things will happen to you.
Totally.
Do bad things, and bad things will happen to you.
Totally.
Not
exactly.
True.
Yeah, and I feel like, man, 2020 was so great in so many ways.
Amen.
It again, you know what, 2020 is the plunge, because 2020 brought me into the now. Like, life may not continue in the way that we all thought that it was continuing, and just walking through life. It stopped us all, and
still is. Like we're still in it.
Yeah, totally. And it has been the best year by far of my life, because it gave me perspective that, if things aren't going to just continue, like I'm going to create. I'm going to create my existence. It's like we were talking about earlier with the Facebook thing, and I saw folks saying, I got to get off Facebook. It's so negative. I get to create my own Facebook feed, and my Facebook feed is full of all my friends that are doing positive things in their life and creating happiness and ripple effects and helping. So many of my friends are doing such amazing big things to help other people, and those are the people I want to surround myself with. Not just on Facebook, but in my life. And I am going to surround myself with people that are growing and people that are trying. And these same people are struggling as well. And we're going to struggle together.
Oh, yeah.
We're struggling together, and I'm struggling sometimes, and they pick me up. And when they're struggling, I'm going to try my best to help pick them up. And that's what I'm trying to do in this existence. I'm trying to, I am going to suck as much enjoyment out of this existence as possible, and it's I've seen that come to pass this last year. Like
the fire in your eyes is so different, and it's so constant. Like it's really beautiful.
I love you, man. I appreciate you.
You're able to like give you that love because you're like giving it to Ryan in like massive doses like you never have before.
Yeah, I feel that way.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing, like as you're talking about 2020, is when we dropped out of communication, big things were happening in both our lives kind of simultaneously.
Yeah.
Since we had done the work and we set the foundation to restore integrity with you and like practice or recreate or adapt to what it like needs to be now with where we're at, has been so much easier is not the right word, but it's been so much more possible. I felt like so much more free to be like, hey, I dropped out of communication with you. I got to own that with you. And you're like, yeah, well, me too. Like, let's do it. And man, I didn't see you here. And the way that we're able to make that not a thing, but like, oh, like we just get back into it. Boom.
And I think that comes from, you set that up at the beginning, and it's still true now. No judgment. Like, there's no because that's the thing. Like, okay, so we don't run one day and we don't text. There's that, but what's worse than that is beating yourself up for the next week saying, oh shit, I didn't text him. I didn't run this day. I didn't text this day.
Oh crap, there he is. Maybe I should go to the bathroom all of a sudden. Like, I don't want to sit.
And you see that all the time with people. I mean, man, damn, dude, I got one of my best friends, who's I haven't seen and not doing well. And I feel like that's a part of it, is that there's this shame. Maybe he's not doing well, but my love for him is not dependent on him doing well, like whether or not he's using or not using or whatever the situation is, it doesn't matter. I love him, Would I maybe have, do I have boundaries with people that are using? Yeah. And that's okay too. But my love is not dependent on how well somebody is doing. But I feel like maybe he, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there's this guilt and shame. Like, okay, I'm not doing well. I can't call these people that care about me because they're going to think less of me. And you put this whole judgment, this whole guilt and shame.
Huge blocks.
And then that's what keeps you, I mean, I hope that I can see him again real soon because I miss him and I love my friend.
Shame thrives in the dark.
Yeah. And I mean, that guilt and shame is worse than what you were doing to create the guilt and shame.
Totally.
And
the aloneness.
Yeah. And he'll, I hope.
But now
I see that all the time.
Because you have spent weeks and weeks and months and quarters and hours going up the mountain, going through that place. Like the cold work's a place you go. It's not a thing you do. Like you go to that place. And because you go to that place and you've invited other people to go to that place and you practice that, your capability to break through all that shame crap and all that resistance and all that judgment, your ability to see him and be like, hey, I know what's going on and I don't care. I love you. I see you. You want to do it? I will do it with you. I will go there with you. Yep. Your ability to do that now is it's always been good, but it's phenomenal now. It's phenomenal. And that's directly impacting the iron recovery business, your life, the people around you. And what's great about that is one of the biggest things you've done with your week is organizing an event where you have no expectation. There's no transactional cost here. This is we give in abundance and everybody's winning.
Yep.
Everybody's winning.
Yep.
Way more.
Yeah, it's man, you should see these gifts. Man, what a crazy world we live in where we all have different gifts. You have different gifts that are adding to everybody that you touch up here. I have friends up in Salt Lake, their gift is helping, I'm thinking about some people in particular, that go out and help the homeless population and, other people that bring gifts up that do, we had this one week, I was just looking around up there on the ice and we got Ricky over doing the sound bath over here. And we got our friend, that brought, his tent for people to be warming up in. And we've got, Jay just pulling people. That's his gift, is pulling people out of the water. And Jason's saging and JC's documenting it all. And all these people, everybody bringing their gifts together and connecting is it's just beautiful. It's just, man, it's so weird. We can be going through this existence. And I know a lot of people that are doing this and just being miserable in this existence, sitting alone, and that's one way to live. You can I love that we have the right to be miserable.
Option to be miserable. Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that we have that right. If you want to try it this way, there's people you were, I can't remember if you said this before or not, but in this time and space, in this location, on the planet where we are, there are people that are willing to hold you, and to grow with you. And if you can get that insight, and how you make that crossover, I don't know, but to be able to be willing to have that,
the way you make the crossover is, hey Shay, I want to run more. Can you hold me accountable? That's it. That's how you make the crossover is hey, I'm not good at this and I really want it. Will you help me? You're better than I am. You're bigger than I am. I'm uncomfortable. To go there with you makes me a little uncomfortable. And if you want to go there, our job as people for our people is to make it a little uncomfortable and safe. for people to dare to be like better or dare to like show up in different ways. Like I made it safe for you to be there and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like that's the combination right there.
Yeah. I love it.
So that's how you make the crossover is find a place that's safe and that is a little uncomfortable. A little time.
And I mean, I see there's so many people that I see that I want that for them. And, you know, you can't drag anybody into it. It's, man, we're all in this shared experience of a personal journey. You know, it's so personal. That's one of the things I discovered, you know, this last year was that, man, I don't
insanely personal.
Like I don't know what, you know, I remember in my first few years of recovery, like I told people like, you do this, you do this, you do this, you will have a happy life. End of story. If you don't do these 3 things, you will die.
Dun, dun,
yeah,
dun.
and you will be miserable and die. And that is, you don't have a choice. And I found this the last few years when I started seeing people doing things differently. Like, I don't know what you need. I don't even know what to tell people anymore when I talk to them. I just say, I don't know what you need, but I will stand with you and support you while we figure it out together. You're going to figure out if you can listen, if you can get quiet enough to listen to your soul or whatever it is, your soul knows what you need.
Your inner wisdom will always guide you.
Yeah, and if you can listen to it, I can't sit and tell you, you need A, B, and C to have a happy life, but you're going to figure it out, and I am more than happy to sit with you while we figure that out together. I'm just going to sit here and support you, and I feel like that's like, you know, I Am Recovery. That's what I Am Recovery does, is support the hell out of the clients, and not only out of the clients, out of the staff.
Totally.
Like each other, you know, and that, you know, shout out to Jared. That all comes from Jared setting up that
attitude reflects leadership. That's
totally.
the culture.
He set up the culture that way, that we support each other. And that's what I feel like this place is. And this place has been such a huge, I've never been happier to be, I don't even work.
That's true.
I don't have a job.
That's true.
Anymore.
You say that. You're not just saying that. That's really true for you.
Totally true.
That's
all
awesome.
I'm doing is just living my life and sharing as much as I can with people and getting shared with in return. And it's a beautiful little existence, man. And it's totally there for anybody that wants it. Anybody that wants it can have, because if I can have it, you can have it. Anybody can have a level of peace in this existence that we're going through, and it's it's beautiful. I love it.
And if the cold, like jumping in the cold water, calls to you, if it costs you a minute being really, really, really crazy, uncomfortable, and like shocked, well, let's pay the price together. Let's go do it together. Because the joy that you get out of that, and the purpose and the aliveness. It is so worth it. We know how to do this joy thing, and we will do it with you. So come and join us and do this joy thing with us.
Yep.
So Ryan's going to be speaking at our next Arena Talks Summit next week. We're going to talk more about cold work. And, you know, even though we didn't talk about doing the plunging aspect as much, anyone who's listening, if you have done any cold work, you got the gems out of this, because there's so many gems of the way life manifest or unfold if you're willing to do something hard. And it doesn't have to be cold work, but like you said, if your inner wisdom says, I need to go do this thing or talk to that person or honor this part of me, find somebody who will help you go and do it or practice it or attempt it or dare it or even speak it. And that's how you get to where you want to go. And that's where that's how you and I have done just some really magical things together. Ryan, I rule my joy, Hymas. Shay, the mountain lion, I'll jump in the cold water with you, without you, whatever it takes to win together. Aslet. Any final thoughts? The last one you had was really beautiful.
Give yourself a break, this life is hard enough. We're all just trying to figure it out. We're all different, whether you're in addiction, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether or not you're a Christian or an atheist, we're all just trying to figure out this existence. And I think that there's people with these with differences that live differently than we do, that we can all support each other. I just I love being a part of a community that we support each other with no judgment and
massive amounts of love.
Yeah, and love, and that's it. And it's anyway. So give yourself a break. Quit beating yourself up, and love yourself, and then start sharing that love. And that's, what do I know? But that's what I'm gonna do.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. We endeavor to make this totally worthwhile and valuable. So let us know if it's working for you, how it's working for you. We'll see you at the Sunday Cold Plunge each week, or also next week, the Arena Talks at the Iron Recovery offices. Love you guys, all of you, all the way, no matter what. Peace.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Iron Recovery and Counseling in Utah. If you know anyone who is looking for outpatient services or sober living, please reach out to us at 801-407-9998. You can also find us at www.iamrtc.com.